You got to write that down.
Did you write it down? Did someone write it down?
I'm writing it down right now.
I didn't get an update yet.
Go to schedule event. Wow.
And it's live.
All right.
I can't. Huh.
Can't find it, Mike. So now we got to find the old chat. Pull the chat up. You can read some comments. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thanks for joining us. The FT After Hours podcast. Man, Mike, it's been a long time since we've been back in here. What's it been, like 3 weeks?
It seems that way.
Has it been 3 weeks, Andre?
It's been a while, and we were entitled to take our little.
Oh, I know. Yep, last weekend was a big holiday and Easter. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Here we are in the studio. Mike's here joining us. Wayne is, I think, off today, and he did some photography stuff. So he'll be back on the next podcast. And joining us all the way up there in the frozen north is Andre Russo.
Good morning. Good morning.
Andre, I got to admit, like, we'll talk about it, but we went up to the Weak Signals show in Toledo, and driving home, Mike, I mean, we left there, it was like a blizzard, Andre. Coming down, I mean, we hit a whiteout, and then we finally got, a little bit farther south and got on 77, and we hit torrential rain. I mean, it was just a nightmare.
Eric Monroe shared some photos last night. He's like, we're supposed to have this practiced quad racing event today for Sunday. And he's like, I don't think it's going to happen. There's snow on the ground everywhere.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
Yeah, I went home from my dad's at I think it was 9:30, 10 o'clock. It was the worst driving conditions I ever encountered. I mean, it was so white. I could only see 20 yards. The road was covered.
Yeah.
It was literally dumping at that time frame right here of snow. It's just unbelievable.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. And this morning, I mean, we were getting the snow, but nothing was really sticking. And then this morning I got up super early because I like to go get some coffee and get you guys some donuts and, come down here and set everything up. And I flipped on the light there, in the kitchen. I looked outside and everything was just like completely white, like major white. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is unbelievable.
I had deer tracks in my backyard. I noticed from last
gosh.
night. So, yeah, definitely a coating of snow. It came down in buckets. I guess if snow could come down in buckets. That's what it was
I couldn't
doing
believe
last
it.
night.
I mean, here we are in April.
We're supposed to have less than an inch, and it's like 2 inches. And I mean, it took an inch just to get the ground cooled enough, that warm ground, and to actually start sticking. It probably had 3 inches, and 2 inches accumulated, I'm assuming.
And, the cool thing is it's that real thick, white, heavy snow. So I'm like,
it's that near freezing temperature snow where the big flakes and
right. And it would have been cool to get the Phantom out this morning, just cruise around the neighborhood,
and it was stuck on the tree. That's stuck on the signs. I couldn't even read the signs coming home. I was like, wow, I blew into that.
So we'll get into that. We'll get into the Weak Signal show, but let's talk a little bit what's been going on. We actually got a little bit of flying in. I got a few little stories, and finally got my hands on the Tundra, so we can talk about that a little bit. Let's see. I guess I'll throw myself under the bus first a little bit. And as everybody probably knows, I have the mini tricopter and have been cranking that around and learning as much as I can. Now Wayne has one. He's got his together, and he's been flying his. But I was waiting on the Triumph, TBS Triumph antennas and waiting and finally got them in. Actually, I got 2 sets now because I ordered one, then they went on back ordered from another place. I was trying to debate, see who was going to get them first. And so I got 2 sets. So they come in the mail. I think it was after work, and I had to do a few things, but I wanted to get a flight in. So I was in a hurry. So I got everything all ready. I was pulling the old antennas off. I think Andre might have told you this story.
Yep.
And Mike, you're going to laugh at me for this. And it really is a noob thing I did. I got in a hurry, got the antenna off of the receiver, pulled the transmitter antenna off, put it back on the tricopter, thought everything was ready to go, put the goggles on, checked it out. I'm like, oh, man, great. Looks great. Picture's good. Get up in the air, and I'm cruising around just real close kind of to the house. Everything was good, and I'm like, oh, this is great. The antennas seem to be working good. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start making some high-speed passes, down the road. So I went down one end of the road. Everything was good, and went barreling down the other end. I was only probably 5 feet off the ground. I was probably doing like 80 miles an hour, heading down the road. I'm all excited, and boom, They just went instant fuzz to black, nothing. And I was just like, wow, what do I do? And down, shut the throttle down. Luckily, it just kind of came down on the road, just skidded across the bottom of the road. No problem. I was like, what just happened? So I pulled the goggles off, ran down, got the tricopter, brought it back. I'm looking at it. Everything looks good. Couldn't figure out, thought maybe the antenna was actually a little loose. So put everything back on. This time I was a little more careful. So I went back up in the air a little bit, kind of cruised around, got a little ways down the road, and it started breaking up horribly. I was like, what is going on? Is there something wrong? Are the antennas broke? I couldn't figure it out. I was getting really frustrated. So came back, pulled the goggles off, shut everything down, was checking everything out, looked at my head plays, and realized, Mike, I never put the antenna on the receiver on my goggles. There was no antenna on it.
Oh my gosh.
I was, and amazingly, surprisingly, even at a pretty good distance, that
is
receiver,
that hard on the goggles at all?
Well, you actually can burn up your receiver.
That's what I thought, because the output's open.
Yeah.
For anytime you have an open output for the load on any antenna, it can be destructive.
Yes, exactly. And that's the first thing I thought, oh man, I probably burn it up. It's going to be no good. So, okay, it gets better. So I'm like, what an idiot I am. How could I possibly do that, right? So I get the antenna and I put it on. I'm flying around again, but same kind of thing. Like I'm getting out of ways, and it didn't cut out, but it was breaking up really bad. And I'm like, I know these antennas are good. I've heard nothing but good things about them. Everybody I talk to, it's getting a little disappointed. So I come back, check everything, whatever, go back out, same thing. So I don't know, maybe 3-4 days later, I'm chatting with David, and we're talking about the antennas, and I'm telling him what's going on. He goes, well, did you put the little adapters on them that were in the box? I go, what are you talking about? Well, normally, you get the antennas, some are SMA and some are, what are they, the RSMA, they have the little pin sticking out, or some don't. And I never even looked. I just took them right out of the box, screwed them on, and I needed a little adapter on there. So I put the adapter on there, put everything on. They work fantastic.
Awesome.
But never checked. I was in a hurry, didn't think about it, and it could have been really bad.
I better be taking notes, because I just got approval from my wife that can buy the mini tricopter.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, and you know what? I was thinking, what's going to be my next RC purchase? But after hearing you flying it and enjoying it, and I didn't realize I went to those speeds. Even with Dave here, I'm always like, I feel like I'm 2 weeks behind the actual conversation we're having sometimes. I don't know. Anyways, I'm like, who better to support than him? I know he does quality, beyond quality on workmanship of his designs and things. So I'm like, I've got to go buy one. And then I don't want to fall in these same pitfalls you just described. So I'm going to have to figure out what good you're ahead of the game on what the best FPV antennas and things are for his setup. So I'm going to have to do some homework, and I definitely want to get one. There's no doubt in my mind, one way or another.
I mean, really, like Andre, what kind of noob? I mean, that is a total
mistake, it happens. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
Recently, I did the whole left hand versus right hand. And I'm flying along going, and I'm saying, hey, James, how's your single look? And his guy goes, oh, it's fantastic. And I'm taking hits left, right, and center. I'm like, what's going on? And I realized I'd bought a set of left hand polarized on the transmitter, and I had a right hand polarized on the receiver. And you wouldn't think it'd make much of a difference, but when you'd roll in a certain direction, and James was like, oh, it's fantastic, Dad. I don't see any problems. And I'm like, this is terrifying. I realized I brought the wrong set of antennas, right? I'm like, oh, anyhow.
Yeah, I liked your story about going and then all you could.
Oh, yeah.
I like
so I'll talk a couple more quick stories. The tricopter is really fast, and David warned me. He was giving me some tips about how it flew, and hopefully next podcast, what we're going to do is I'm waiting for Wayne to get a little bit more time. Maybe even Mike, if we get a chance, we'll get you on the sticks, let you fly around. So hopefully next podcast, we'll get David back on. We're going to do a whole mini review, take some questions about the build. We're going to go through the whole thing and talk about it. But good. I'm just giving a few funny flight experiences, and so I kept just going a little faster and a little faster and a little faster. And I live on a dead-end street on a cul-de-sac, and I was probably getting up there, I'm guessing 70, 80 miles an hour. My road's probably only maybe an eighth of a mile. So I'd start at one end and just zoom down the road, And of course, all my neighbors know me, so they probably think I'm a complete idiot anyway. And get down, turn around, come back, and I kept doing it, going faster and faster. Well, at one point, I was like, man, I really just want to open this thing up. So I'm just flying down through the road, just cranking. And on the tricopter, you know, when you let up on the stick, it just keeps on going. Like, it doesn't,
like a glide or
yeah, it
something,
just like, it just keeps on going. So I got towards the end of the road, and this thing's probably going 80 miles an hour, and it's not slowing down. And there's nothing but trees and a fence, and my road makes an immediate right-hand turn up the hill. God, no. And I was like, oh, crap, what am I, you know, whoa. So, you know, first thing you can do, you got to pull back on that stick, try to slow that thing down. Of course, you're flying FPV. The first thing you see when you jam that stick back, you just see sky. You're doing 80 miles an hour, like looking at the ground. Next thing you know, it's all sky. That tricopter, man. I'm just pulling back on the stick, looking at the sky, going, oh, man, what do I do? You know, how long do I hold it back. Then you ease it down, and then you realize you're doing 100 miles an hour backwards. It was, I mean, that thing has got my heart pumping like unbelievable. So, and the only other quick story was kind of funny. And again, I've really beat the daylights out of this thing. I mean, it's not like I'm just cruising around the yard. We had our holiday weekend. Obviously, we got to kind of go out and fly a little bit. And I took it out, and there was a giant big baseball field. And I was cranking around in the two big goalposts. So I got a little I got a little courage going on. I thought, you know, I'm going to start zooming around underneath the goalpost a little bit. I remember this. So I didn't realize that on the one end, the ground underneath the goalpost, after you go underneath of it, it just steadily, it's probably got a 6 or 8 foot rise
that elevates.
Well, when I was flying, you know, 10 feet off the ground, you can't tell in the camera. So I was like 2 feet off the ground. I'm buzzing again about 80 miles an hour. I go zooming underneath that goalpost. Well, next thing I know, in the camera, all I see is ground. And the camera rolling. I'm like, what just happened? Did something break? You know, what's going on here? So threw the goggles off, and I go down, and I mean, I'm looking for this. It must have tumbled 1,000 times down through the yard. I couldn't find it. I'm looking all over. Well, here, you know, the arms all folded up. It just went into a little ball. And here I look, and that's what happened. I went under the goalpost and then right into the ground, and it just stuck in the ground and just barrel rolled. And oh my gosh! But again,
you say it's pretty durable. I mean, not that we want to review it right
so now, far. It's been very durable. I mean, besides broken props,
on the private discussions we had going to the show and stuff, I'm like, I'm sold. I got why I'm delayed, and I'm always delayed on things from you guys.
And one more thing, and then Andre, I know you've been out flying. We'll get to you and talk a little bit about your stuff. But I finally got to fly the Tundra. I've had it for a while. The weather's been crappy. I didn't get together. It sat in the box. Finally got it out. Got, I think, 3 batteries through it. And I'm happy to say it is a nice flying airplane, Andre. I know we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I just, you know, we went into depths and everything, but I just want to say just a few things. The flying characteristics are very gentle. Like I kind of compared it a little bit to the Beaver. It doesn't do anything bad. It has no bad tendencies. It definitely has more power than the Beaver, but it's kind of got that heavier feel like the Beaver. Unlike the Fun Cub, feels kind of very light. It just kind of, you know, you get a little bit of wind gust. It blows it around in the air. So it was my personal opinion, though, between, like, say, the Fun Cub and the Tundra, is the Fun Cub was a little bit, for me, a little more aerobatic. Like, I could do more things with it, and I think it's just because the control surfaces and the rudder maybe were a little bigger, and it's a little lighter. And plus, mine was pretty, I would say, maybe a little overpowered, so maybe that was one reason why I could do a little bit more with it. But the Tundra would do everything I asked it to. I could do knife edge, you know, rolls, loops, all your standard stuff. It would do it, no problem. Like I said, the Fun Cub, I could do a little bit more stuff, you know, goofing around like inverted flat spins and everything. But the Tundra handled everything great. But the big plus with the Tundra, I think, is the build quality was one. You know, we talked about before. They took the Fun Cub and all the bad qualities. They improved on everything. You know, the airframe, the size, especially the landing gear. Like, I was landing that thing anywhere imaginable, like plunking it down in dirt, rocks on the hills. Like I had some pretty good wind, so I was landing on like these big hills and just dropping it. Like I'd get a foot and just cut the throttle, and the thing would just plop right down. You could see the gear actually springing and working and doing what it was designed to do. So I think just the overall quality, how they build it and everything is so much better than the Fun Cub. So that was just my little mini review. I don't know, Andre, you probably agree with some of that.
I just actually finally I took the skis off, which means we're gonna get like 4 feet of snow now, right? So, but I've enjoyed that plane a lot. I feel bad because I get my I need to put the motor back into the Fun Cub, but that's a pretty big bearing job, so I haven't really been playing around with it. But it's just turned out to be a really nice, pleasant aircraft. And anybody who asks about me, we run through why it's really nice. And yeah, I agree. I guess we're gonna have to put some colors and tape onto ours when we meet up in May and July, right? Because otherwise there'll be which one? So
right. So I know you've been doing a little flying. So fill us in on what's going on up there in the Great White North.
I have to give a huge shout out to Josh Bixler and his FT Mini Mighty Arrow. Holy moly, what a fun airplane. I know you guys haven't had a chance to fly this thing, but I have been really impressed. I've got two, actually. I've got one that's pretty modified with some carbon fiber bits that were sent to me, and I had a 3D printed cage design done up. And I've put this airplane through so much hurt. I hit a tree yesterday with it.
Oh, really?
Threw it back in the air. What I like the most about this is it's got me back in FPV flying. Like I said, last year I didn't do any FPV, fixed wing FPV. It was too much to get a spotter going and just a whole bunch of other factors at the field. So this thing is fantastic because it's small, it's light, and I just I can toss it in the air with my goggles on and just go. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. And the 2S one is really good for small parks, and it weighs I think mine is well under 250 grams.
Mm-hmm.
And so I throw that in with a little 2S 500 and just kick it around and have a really, really, really good time with it. So it's been nice. It's just it's been a really good build experience. And I've got a couple other ones I'm going to be playing with in the very near future. So
what's that in the background I see? Are we allowed to talk about that thing?
Yeah, we could talk about it a little tiny bit.
A little bit?
Yeah. Okay. So this big thing. If anybody watched the Tundra release back last year from Hobby King, they showed a quick picture of it doing a tow. Well, that is what they were towing. That is called the Hull Cherokee from HK, and it is as Stuart said in the pre-release, it is on the boat and it is coming. But I just happened to have one show up on my doorstep mysteriously early last week or late last week. So I'm in the middle of doing a build. I was actually doing a build video last night, and the camera shut down on me. So I'm probably gonna have to redo it just to make it look good and proper. It's got an EDF on it, a big giant 64 millimeter EDF motor. Yeah, and a few other little bells and whistles. It looks really nice. And I was able to actually fit a Zippy Compact 3S22, 25C or something like that into the nose and get the CG to work out with the EDF. If I just run glider mode, I'll do like a little battery pack and a back or something like that just for nose weight. I've got one of those nickel hydrate ones or whatever they were, which are fairly heavy packs, which can run the receiver and all that. And it does have the tow release.
Oh, nice.
So it does have a servo tow release on it. So again, we can have some fun. I'm not sure if I would do a glide. I might just do it if I was to do a glide. I'd probably do it with the EDF as a backup, but you never know.
Right. Oh, you got to bring that thing down with you in May. Then we'll put it.
Oh, I think so. So it is 1,700 millimeters. So it's got a pretty decent wingspan, but 920 millimeters long, and it feels pretty light. I probably won't take the wings off very often, but it is doable. It's just a top screw. But if you've got the EDF, there's a nice pin mechanism that locks into the entire fuselage. So. So I'm looking forward to flying it. Unfortunately, I don't think, based on the winds and everything, we're gonna see any flying this week. Now it suddenly got really, really nasty, cold and windy. Polar vortex, I was told.
It must be what we're getting to, because this is just ridiculous.
It's April.
I know. One thing I did forget to talk about real quick, and again, I think down the road here we'll do a little review on it, but I have been getting some time on the little Ultra Micro J3 Cub.
Nice.
So, and I am happy to report, and we did talk to Matt Andrew a little bit about that at the show too. It is very nice. It slows down way more than what I expected. I have been flying it around the yard. It does handle the wind quite a bit better than the Ultra Micro Sport Cub S. So I'm very happy. It looks fantastic in the air, just with all the scale details and everything. And, I've been doing actually touch and goes like on my sidewalk in my front yard, and, in and out around the trees. And talking with Matt up at the show, he said really that was their goal. They kind of knew how the Ultra Micro Carbon Cub flew, and it was pretty fast. You had to really be on your toes to fly it. And he said really that's why the J3 Cub is quite a bit bigger than some of the other Ultra Micros. They wanted to get that size up to give it that slow flight capabilities. That's what was their main goal. So they did a really good job on it. I'm so far I'm really happy with it. So
I'm gonna want to check that out when I drop down, because I'm curious. I know I couldn't fly to my backyard because anything beyond the speed of the Vapor, and we know the FPV Vapor is fast.
Mm-hmm.
So because I've tried I tried my little micro Tiger Moth, and the problem with that one is I never had enough authority on there's not enough rudder authority to turn it and get it around the corner quick enough. So, and that's where the Vapor excels, because it's just got that big tail section on it. So it'll be interesting to see if I could actually fly something slow enough. My luck, I just end up landing in the pool again. So.
I've landed a lot of things in the pool, and you would think going in the pool would ruin anything, and I've been very fortunate. Everything that's landed in that pool, some of it has been underwater. It comes out, dried off, and everything has worked. So, trust. All right, moving on. Let's want to get into the show, Mike. Talk a little bit about that and what's going on. Oh, we got to tell the funny story. So. We drive my wife's we call it the RC car. She has a little Kia Soul, and she's like, just take my car. I'm like, all right, whatever.
And he's like, oh, we only get 30 miles to go. I'm like, holy, that's like a freaking motorcycle in my realm.
So we hop in the little RC car, and we take off up there. And, I mean, it's about a 2.5-hour drive to actually get up there. And so Mike and I, we're just like, I haven't seen you or really hung out with you for a while. Sure. So we're just chatting it up. I mean, we're talking everything, quadcopters, mini tricopters, airplane. I mean,
we were involved in
going to town.
We should have recorded that. We could have made a podcast.
We could have made a 2.5-hour podcast just on the drive up there. We were talking about everything. I mean, just catching up, talking about the new planes in the Tundra, what's going to be up at the show. So I swear it was only like an hour or so. And we're driving along. We're just chatting along, and I look over and I see 75 to Toledo. We blow right by it.
Oh, Mike, I think we just passed our X. I'm like, it did say Toledo as we're going by. So,
we just blew right past the exit. Just kept on going. I was like, oh my gosh. So we had to go down, get off, and turn around, backtrack, and finally we got there probably about 9:30 or so. And even up there, it was cold and windy and nasty. So we finally get in. Get walking around. The first thing I want to talk about, and it's RC related, but it's really not airplane related. But I just think it's fascinating what this company did, and I actually don't even remember the name. But there was a company up there that had a lot of fifth scale cars on display.
I looked that up last night, and I found it, and I can't.
And they're usually the big 1/5 scale gas running anywhere from a 23cc to a 30cc engine. And if anybody that's listened to the podcast or knows me or talks to me, at one point I was really, really big into the 5th scale cars. So I just wanted to browse around. I don't keep too much tabs on what's going on anymore with that stuff, but I still like to a little bit know, if they got some new stuff or what they're developing or whatever. But anyway, Andre, this is really going to blow your mind. Now, some companies have already converted those gas cars over to electric, where they're putting these giant electric motors inside the drivetrain, reconfiguring everything with these giant batteries, and it's pretty cool. And a lot of people like them because the gassers are very, very loud, very noisy, and they're if you got a place that you want to drive, but they don't like the noise, electric's the way to go because it's almost silent. But it's a big process and it's really expensive. So this company has come out, and where the tires are, Andre, they actually mount a brushless motor. So the whole rim and everything is the brushless motor, and then the wheel goes over top of that brushless motor. So that's the motor, is the actual wheel. And it's hard to describe. And maybe in the show notes,
I watched some videos of them.
Did you watch that?
No, I mean of them. Did you see them running them?
Yeah. I mean, they'll do
up. They were 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, 80. They go anywhere from 80 to.
They did it kilometers, but I converted it, and it was around 100 miles an hour when I converted
80 miles an hour, stock setup. I forget what they were. I think they were running a 4-cell battery in it. A big couple. It was probably like 4-cell batteries in it. But it was absolutely amazing.
They had rooster tails of mud just flying out at these baseball tracks and like different things I saw. You have immediate torque there on the wheel.
Yeah. And the thing is you're eliminating so much stuff. The whole drivetrain you're completely eliminating, taking all that robs all that power and everything. And it's just direct drive right on the wheels, and it would just completely blew my mind. So if anybody's out there, I know some people too, they fly and like to drive cars or whatever, but I think down the road you
really were talking about some endless options.
Yeah,
independent, maybe 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, you put that.
All you're dealing with is the sprung weight of the motor at that point, and so you just put some really stiff suspension systems in there that can deal with it. Yeah.
And you got to think, Andre, down the road to what you can do through your radio when the surface radios get a little bit better, and they get these smarter ESCs to where you can transfer power, like going through a turn. You got one wheel. It's
traction control.
Control. That's basically what it's going to be. One wheel spinning faster than the other. Well, boom, the other wheel kicks in and matches.
Yeah, because the sensor technology is already there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why you're popping, Mike. I don't, because you're not real loud. I'm not really sure why. Okay. That pop filter should take care of that. It's like it's over modulating a little bit, but you sound fine. Other than that.
I hear pops
every now and then.
So Mike, Adam asked how fast you were recognized in Toledo.
Oh, that's funny.
Who? Adam
Drain.
Okay. Well, we were we were just behind. I don't know what display we were at, and I laughed at something silly. I don't know, and someone's like, "I know that laugh." He was I think his name was Jason. He listens to the podcast. And
but didn't know the faces.
Yeah, he said it was nice to see the faces. I said, "Well, I hope I didn't disappoint after you see this mug here."
Yeah.
But no, he was real nice, and I forget where he was from, but we did talk to him briefly and shook hands and stuff. It was nice to have a fan out there that recognized me. And but it was through my laugh. We got to talk, and we're like incognito because no one sees our faces for the most part. And as soon as I laugh, though, it's
it's over. Game over.
I just left the cat out of the bag type of thing. Yeah. And we're identified.
And thanks, Adam, for coming up. We really had a good time yesterday. Adam Drain come up, just hung out with us for the day.
He was able to critique some of the bomber.
Yes, I love that.
That's hilarious.
So, and I guess I have to apologize on some level. Like, I had intentions when we were going to get up there to really take a lot of pictures and do some Periscope and answer some questions, but we were just having such a good time, just like hanging out and walking around. It was kind of nice being a little incognito. And I knew from previous experience, if I did fire up the Periscope, it might have got a little hectic up there. I don't know, maybe not. So we just, played it a little safe and just enjoyed ourselves a little bit. So I guess I got to apologize a little bit on that. But I figured we were going to be in the next day and we could talk about it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And we who else we met up there?
Who's that?
Pat or Scott.
Oh yeah, that was the other funny thing. We're walking around, and our two buddies we fly with here, Scott and Pat, we bumped into them. So I
recognized them right away, and I'm like, oh, I know these guys. I'm gonna go out and say hi. And it was funny. I think was it Pat that had the Proto?
Yeah, the Proto X.
I'm like, oh, he couldn't resist. He's like, yeah, I found this for $20. I hear you talking about it on the shelf line and around at work and things. But I said, you can't go wrong with that. Those things gave me endless fun. So I guess I seemed like he might have already had one. And he just bought it. He's like, at that price, you can't resist buying another one. And I said, it's a ton of fun. And then he had me laugh. Oh, I was rolling laughing. Some of the things we were talking about.
We had a good chuckle session there because right before that, we both came around the corner and this is a stupid.
Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The FAA actually had a booth there, and I mean, I don't know. I just
thought it was it was like two older guys, and they had the grumpiest looks on their faces. Yeah. Like they didn't want to be there. You could tell.
I don't know. It's just like they were in the wrong place, man. How can you put an FAA booth in one of the largest RC, shows in the country? When they're not very well liked at this point anyway.
Yeah. That's some PR person going, hey, we did it a while ago. We've got a budget. We should go out. And then they don't talk to anybody else about everything else. Yes.
Yeah. But Pat and Scott had me roaring we should go commend their efforts. And make this whole sarcastic scenario.
Yeah.
I don't like those drones.
Yeah. We should have just went up. Oh man, we were so happy you guys are here. Thanks for coming. Yeah. They just
oh man.
Yeah, it was I wasn't expecting
so
that. It was pretty funny. I have to say though, the overall show, I mean, it was okay. It was your typical, we've been going up there 4 or 5 years now, and it's starting to be
more planes again.
Yeah, that was the kind of cool thing, Andre, is like last year was so much multi-rotor stuff.
The gimbals and everything you were saying.
Yeah, and the ready-to-fly camera quads, whether they were the Chinese knockoffs or they had the $20,000 camera ships up there all over, and it was just kind of overwhelming. And even talking to Matt Andren a little bit, it was really nice to see that it's kind of calmed down a little bit. And what's kind of funny is and maybe it is kind of, I don't know, the FAA thing is it's reverting back. Like we seen probably more small, like 180 and under quads, like the style quads, than anything up there. They were everywhere, all kinds of different carbon frames and designs and motors and different, stuff like that. So I definitely have to say you see a change a little bit from last year, how now they're going back to the smaller, just fun going out and fly type stuff than the big, camera ships and the ready to fly. And, there were some there, but it's definitely
that one camera. It was like a full size shoulder camera.
Yeah, they had a giant, I don't know, it was a octocopter.
Yeah, it was like that camera's probably worth more than my house.
Yeah, with a big, what is that? The what's that, Andre? The red something? Red
one? Well, there's a bunch of different ones, but yes, yeah. So it's 4K or better kind of thing.
Right. So, but other than that, there was very few quad stuff there. It was so it was a good change. I would say the show though, I don't know, it had a different feel to it this year. There was people there obviously, and it was kind of busy, but it was just a different feel, I thought, this year. It was hard to explain. I don't think there was a ton of, things are changing too, because I don't know if it's the technology and the way these people are pumping out airplanes, but you could always guarantee, and there were some new products, and we'll talk about a few, but you could always guarantee, the Weak Signal show had some big, like, oh, this is coming and this is out and we're going to display this and blah, blah, blah. And it just didn't have that feel. You know what I mean? But it was still good.
Plus, it was a few weeks earlier than normal.
Yeah, it was a little bit early.
It came upon me so quick. You're like, hey, you want to go to the Toledo? Yeah. Like, well, I'm going to have to make some adjustments. I had a Saturday booked full, and I'm like, I got to wipe all this off the plate to run up there, which I did. So
right. And the thing for me that I like is, you always see these planes on the internet. You can read about them and watch as many videos as you want, Andre.
Yeah.
But it's always good to see, feel, touch, smell, whatever, everything in person. And to me, it makes a huge difference. That's just my opinion.
So was there a standout product this year? I know last year there were a few things we really liked, but was there anything interesting this year?
There was one thing that Mike and I that we were blown away by. It's not necessarily new, and I know they've been around. as far as actually flying things like airplanes or anything, I didn't see anything that just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This blows my mind. Nothing like that.
I didn't come out of there purchasing anything.
No. I think the biggest thing that we could, I guess we'll talk about it now, was, and it's a funny story. We were over at the Hobbico booth and, browsing around, looking at things, and we found, actually, I think Adam spotted it first. They have a small little ultra micro B25, and it was really cool looking. Very well detailed. We really liked it, scale, and we were kind of oohing and on over that. And the funny thing was, we were venturing around. We were over at the Horizon booth, and we just, we were over there a couple times because we were actually looking for Matt to talk to him. And off in the little corner, we seen their B25. And the funny thing was, we're looking at this and we're like, well, that's kind of funny because usually Horizon announces everything, at the show or right before the show or whatever. And I didn't hear anything about this B25, Andre. Didn't know anything about it. And the funny thing was, it had a typed up sheet of specs sitting beside it. We're like, this is really strange.
Yeah, it was odd.
So we found Matt. We were chatting with Matt a little bit and talking about what he's been up to and everything. And so we were like, so what's up with the B25? And he's like, well, the story is they've had that ready to go, but they were going to bring it out on the, and don't quote me, and I'm sure Adam Drain could correct me if I'm wrong. They were going to bring it out in 2 weeks for the 75th anniversary.
That's what he said, but Adam's like, I don't know if that's right.
Yeah,
but
so
somebody did their homework.
They were waiting for 2 weeks, but then when they got up to the show, Hobbico brought their plane out, and they're like, crap, now we have to make it. So I don't know if they had it with them or somebody had to run all the way back to Horizon Hobby or ship it.
That.
Yeah, I don't know how, but anyway, Matt says, well, we had to bring ours out. So they brought theirs out and, did the little sheet. So it was just kind of a running joke between us. We kept going back and forth going, okay, which one do you like? What's
as
better?
As just cosmetic static display, I personally like the Hobbico one, but when you brought up the flight
characteristics,
Horizon has that safe and all that. The flying, it'd be interesting to fly both, I guess. Is all I'm going to come out of that.
They both had their good points.
Sure.
I like the Hobbico one. I like they put the not glass, but
better,
the
more better simulated glass, like see through.
Right. Some acrylic, for the windows instead of a sticker. It was very well detailed. But then looking at the and this is where Adam comes in
with the bend and
the
angles of the wing and stuff.
The Horizon one really had a little bit of that gull wing, like a real B25.
Said historically, it was a better, truer depiction.
Right, it was more plane. Scale, and our guess, not 100%, but with the AS3X, and I know Horizon, they're very good. Have come a long way with their ultra micro stuff. I'm guessing that B25 of Horizon really flies really well. But to see them in person, man, the detail that they're starting to get in these ultra micros, Andre, it's just unbelievable.
It is pretty cool.
Do you know what the cell count or requirement is on that one?
I think they were both just the one cell.
I thought it was half price.
They were both right at the same price. They're about 120 right now. I'm sure they'll come down.
But it was one cell. I didn't.
Yeah, just one cell, probably whatever 150 or 200 milliamp batteries. We didn't really. I'm guessing they were brushed motors. I didn't really look, but I'm almost.
They looked in the picture because they had a pretty light looking prop and everything.
They had the Nano. What was it? The Nano F.
Oh yeah, they did have the. We got to talk a little bit and see the new Nano FPV.
Nano QX
underneath. Yeah, that's kind of.
And they're really excited about that. I guess that thing just flies a lot better. The battery time on it is like double of the regular Nano QX. Plus, it has a way better camera on it. So I guess they're pumping out, like a good 25 milliwatt now. And they said you have no problem. Like if you got a 3-story house, you have no problem flying through your whole house.
Nice. Well, you mean they listened to everything what everybody said then?
Yeah. Here's a funny thing, and maybe later on we're going to have Matt Andron on. They actually going to have some new products coming out somewhere around Joe Knoll. So we think we're going to get him on right after that and talk about everything that's come out. But anyway, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh.
What was I going to talk about? Oh well,
we were talking about the nano FPV system and stuff, and what he was going to.
Oh, I know what I was going to talk. The new Nano QX looks like it's the old Glimpse. It looks, frame, body, and everything, and it did have the more powerful motors on. So I don't know if they kind of took the Glimpse and realized that it might be better for FPV, because it is a little bit bigger in the motors and obviously the flight time, and then put their new FPV camera on. But to me, that's exactly what it looks like, Andre. It's just the old Glimpse. So I don't know.
And you said some of their models look very similar to FMS, I know.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about that. Their new line, it looks like to me, we had the big discussion of them going away. They had the 1100 millimeter and then they had the 1200 millimeter line. And we were kind of debating like, okay, maybe they're trying out to see what's what. And we talked about that a million times of everything. But at the show, basically, they had the whole 1200 millimeter line. And to me, and I've had a lot of FMS Warbirds, it looks like that whole 1200 millimeter line is built by FMS. I could be wrong. It's just speculation. Don't quote me on that. Don't take, that's just my opinion
on it.
They look very, very, very similar to their FMS Warbirds. But they had their whole line there. And Andre, I know you're going to hate me for this, and I know you don't like that. And I'm a Corsair fanatic. I love the Corsairs. I love the look. I love flying them. I've had every Corsair that Horizon's had, and I do have the older Corsair with the retracts. But that new Corsair, Andre, with the green and the scheme and the way they got it set up, I in person, I love it. It's different. Like, you don't see that Corsair out and about anywhere. It's you see the same paint schemes.
Blue one, yep.
With that scheme and that green funky paint on it, I just like it. So, man, I was oohing and on over that stupid thing.
It's funny because that's still the one. Well, we posted. I put out that picture of the rack after I'd finished building up the Durafly Spitfire, and you're like, oh, you're missing this airplane, and then you're just missing. And we had this whole chain of everybody listing off, and I'm like, I just want a Corsair, people, just a Corsair.
Right.
Because I haven't flown one yet. So it's and then someone goes, well, what about the P-47? And I'm like, this will never end. Oh, you don't have any twins. You need like a P-38 or a Mossy. And I'm like, I don't have the hangar space.
Yeah.
So I guess we could talk about too, and it was new, and they revealed it right before the show. Was they did bring out the new Spitfire? So did you see this new Spitfire, Andre?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see it.
Right.
So E-Flite and Horizon are bringing out a new Spitfire bind and fly basic, and I think you're going to like this. I was actually kind of surprised that they brought out another one, but again, it's same thing in their 1200 millimeter range. The cool thing about it, it's a later model, I believe. It's
the Mark
14, or let's see, 10. What is that number?
Mark 6.
Is that what it is?
No, it's before. Sorry. I don't know what number it is. Can't read Roman numerals.
I know. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that it's a later model.
Yes, it is.
And it's got a scale 5-bladed prop on it.
Okay.
And it looks really good.
I remember seeing
it looks really good.
And they added the safe technology.
Mm-hmm.
An option of it, program free. How is it an option? I have to read up on that one, but it does have the AS6 installed.
Yep. Obviously, it has the retracts. It has the operational 4-panel split flaps on it. It looked really good. And the cool thing was the split flaps were actually, it's a plastic panel, that comes down right out of the foam. It looked really good. The thing caught me too. We were looking at me and Adam. The air scoops on the bottom, most of them are kind of made out of foam, and they're just one kind of block of foam, and probably hurts the flying characteristics a little bit. These were like a real light plastic, and they were hollow, like you could look right through them. So the airflow goes through.
Yeah, it goes up and through. So it's actually functional in some degree. Oh, it looks pretty nice, actually. Yeah.
Yep. So that was their kind of new big release that they had up there, besides the B25, which nobody really. And I don't even think last night, Andre, I got on their site. I couldn't even find the B25 on there last night. So unless they threw it on there this morning, I couldn't find it because I was trying to get this a little bit more specs on it. So.
All new releases. Hold on here. Let's see if we can see it. So there's the Spitfire, and that's Spitfire, by the way. I will. Yeah, and they've got all the FMS stuff on their site. I don't know. No, it's the FMS B25. So, yeah, they are loading all the FMS material onto their site. Actually, hold on here. Let's go back to that Spitfire really quick. So it is a 1.2 meter, and you can pre-order it right now for $270 US, and it does fly off a 3S2200 with a 40 amp ESC. So, nice looking thing. The fact that they're actually installing safe is nice. I just wish they would let me turn off the AS3X.
Well, I'm pretty sure, Andre, with the new programming and their app and everything, you can go right in there and just turn it off if you want to.
That said, I actually flew the Pawnee this past weekend on Saturday because I switched over to the wheels and had that up. I actually used that as my test bed because I'm testing. I'm doing a test between the Mobius and the brand new, or new to me, the RunCam 2. So I stuck the two cameras on the actual Pawnee, both on the. I put them on each opposing wing, so I'm gonna be able to do a split down the center footage. Actually, so I'm gonna sit there and edit that up very soon, so you can just basically see the difference. And our good friend Dave Knott was doing a pretty good demo between all the cameras. He sent me a link on his YouTube channel. And apparently, Dave Masson just said you can disable the AS3X on the aircraft, the new ones, and the RCE group apparently has video of the B25 from the show.
Yes, they did. They were actually filming up there. We were watching them. Yeah, right.
And someone wants to know what we think of the new Phantom 4. Oh, let's save the Phantom stuff for a few minutes longer. Let's finish off the show.
Let me make a note of that, the Phantom 4, because
I saw the box in Austin's.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we'll get our hands on that. We're going to kind of do a little thing. And I was a little hard on it at first, but I kind of take that back a little bit after seeing and watching some videos. But, yeah, I'll make a little note.
At the Toledo show, you noticed, too, on the high wings, you were looking at the retracts on that specialized retracts for, like, stiff arm.
Oh, you mean like on the Cessnas?
Yes.
Oh, there was a company, Andre, up there. It was really cool. I don't know if you've seen too many or paid attention, but I only really know because I did all my commercial flight training in a Cessna 182 RG retractable gear.
Okay, wow.
If you've ever seen one, the retractable gear on the Cessnas are really funky. They almost look like a bug, like they kind of drop down and they flop, and then they kind of retract up in the body. And they had a couple Cessna 337s there, which are a push and pull airplane. And you don't see retracts for them. Well, a company makes them special just for those type of airplanes, and they had them working there, and they had some airplanes on display. So it was just kind of really cool to see, you know, a scale Cessna airplane with their original retracts in it. It was just different. It was cool.
Neat.
So as far as Horizon, I think that was pretty much it. They had all their other standard stuff there on display. They always put on a phenomenal. Them and Hobbico put on a phenomenal display up there every year. It's just well worth, you know, going up and seeing all their planes. And again, they usually put out all their latest and greatest stuff. So if it's something more you're kind of interested and want to see, it may not be there. They did have a few of the big FMS planes on display up there. They had a big Corsair. So as everybody, in case you don't know, they made a big announcement saying they are now an FMS distributor. So which I think only makes sense because again, speculation. I think they're making quite a few of their planes. So
yeah. It'll be interesting. I'll watch my local, my local guys, so Orleans Hobby and Great Hobbies, and see if they start pulling in some of the FMS products as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, see what the price.
But I don't need another Warbird at this point.
No, I don't think you do either. Although I'm kind of excited. You got the P40, the older P47 version. I guess it'd be a Park Zone one back then, the silver and black one. So that's a.
That's my buddy. My buddy picked up that one, Dave, from Toronto. He picked that up used. I guess Toronto is like this big, or his area is big on the resales. So he seems to just find these amazing deals. So they're still looking for a Corsair for me. I use Corsair, like, version 1, generation 1, fixed landing gear, no retracts. Just I want super simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just I'm kind of itching to see if I can find one at my price, kind of thing.
Right.
So.
Another thing we saw, a couple of things I'm just going to refresh you on. It's the multiplex.
Oh, yes.
But it was the downside was the 6S battery.
I know we've talked just rambling on about, me, I love the high wing like trainer types, and you shot me a link a while back, Andre, of the new Fun Cup XL. And I looked at it, went over the specs and everything, and I was like, whatever,
but size and stuff.
To see it in person, it was very impressive, and it's actually quite a bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. I was kind of assuming it was on this closer to the Carbon Z Cub scale. It's not. It's quite a bit smaller. They didn't really have the specs there. They said everything, they had a little barcode thing you could scan and it would tell you all about it in a video and specs and everything, but we didn't do that. But we got to check out the plane, and I'm telling you, Andre, that thing is built like a tank. Like, it looks like you could just beat the living daylights out of it. Even like the landing gear, the wheels, the structure, it was solid. And I was really impressed with it. Now, the downfall was, and the reason I thought it was going to be bigger is because we found out early on that it does fly on 6-cell. And then I thought, oh man, so, Carbon Z Cub type deal. But if that thing flies on 6-cell, it's got to be a beast.
Yeah, you'll be putting that vertical and unlimited.
Oh, it was unbelievable, and it had a tow hook built right on, so it'd be great for towing. So I'd love to get my hands on one and just try it out. And the guy did say from High Tech that they have flown it on 6-cell 5,000 battery packs. He goes, it flies and absolutely no problems, but it was a lot more fun, going to like a 3,000 or 3,200 or something, a little bit smaller. He said even up to around a 4,000 was really good on the 6-cell.
Yeah. I'm looking at basic pictures. So besides, obviously they've gone, the form factor looks pretty similar. They've changed up the nose, so they've got a cowl on the front for better ventilation, I think. They've gone to a full aluminum style landing gear, and they added 2 sets of spars. So
Yep.
So they're just, and it looks like they've got stuff on the tail and the back just to help the rigidity. So.
Yep, and they've like doubled the hinges on the flaps, so like you could probably just go vertical, dump the flaps, and drop it into a nose spiral, and just that thing looked great.
Yeah, looks like a nice plane.
It in person it was impressive. Like I said, I looked at it and read about it. I was like, but in person it was pretty cool.
Then one last thing I remember was the Jetty transmitter kind of caught your eye, and they did a pretty good demo.
Oh my gosh, Andre! I've heard of them. I've seen them. They're mostly based, out of Europe. I haven't even had time. I got a whole brochure pamphlet on their website and was going to read a little bit more. But we walked by the Jetty radio booth, and just to see their radios and the quality, like looking at it, and I picked it up, and it's massive and it's heavy. And I was like, wow, this is a really good quality like radio. And looking at some of the features, well, then the guy's like, do you know anything about us? I'm like, really? I don't know anything other than you're based out of Europe.
So he went into full demo mode.
Oh my gosh. Andre, this radio is, just a computer in your hands. And he was just going through feature after feature after feature.
And how you can configure
everything is built in. All the telemetry is built in.
24 channel.
It's 24 channel radio.
It's basically a computer in your hand is what he said.
Yeah, he said it is a computer.
To the
it's the more, I'm looking at photos, they're more tray style radios, but this is with the microization, there we go, of all the technology. I think this is where we're going. It's basically eventually you're going to be having a small computer and you're going to have your flicking switches, your switches and your gimbals. That's it,
And that was the thing is most of the one Jetties I've seen, like you're right, Andre, and they had some there is the big tray radios that are huge. They actually had the smaller, like I guess I could say American, the smaller size radios, and with their touch screen display, and the display is actually at the top of the radio.
Touch screen because
it had the buttons at the bottom. That's right. Sure. You're right. You're right. But
this display was up top, so your hands weren't hindering the view of
easy to see
the gyros in the thing that would tell you your voltages and stuff.
The customization, like we were probably there 40 minutes, and he was just like
regurgitated everything about this.
Right. One of the cool features was though it's got built-in gyros, and if you wanted a feature on your radio, all you would have to do is move your radio, like tilt it. Like say you wanted to set up. And the lady would talk to you. Of course, that was all customized too. Say you wanted your battery voltage and you were really intense and concentrating. Well, all you had to do is tip your radio a little bit, and she would say voltage 11 point.
Oh, that's how you're going to engage your safe mode. What's going on with this plane?
I was just so impressed with the
and
stuff
like the one thing, if you jiggled it too, I was like, "Quit manhandling!"
Oh yeah,
me. He kept coming up, like he was yelling at you, "Quit manhandling me."
It was funny. But I think the prices are like ridiculous. Aren't they like 14?
He didn't even go the prices
to
us. I think we had to look them up, but we knew that they were going to be up there.
They were
I think
way
we did look up. Yeah, it was around those
$1,600 or something. Which they are very. But for what you were getting, if you were going to buy one radio. It fully up. You can update everything. It's got a USB port in it.
Wi-Fi, or I thought it was like wireless. A lot of it was wireless. He said
could have been too. I can't remember.
Well, this is where I think we're going to end up eventually. Is yes, your initial purchase will be kind of expensive, but from that point on, unless the module technology changes or something radical happens in the frequency, setups. That's where we're going, I'd say, because it's going to be your gimbals and everything, and that technology will only go so far. We're kind of set when we know we like our switches and sliders, and from there the limitation is what kind of firmware can people throw into the system. So the future is exciting.
Wow, that was probably the most impressed out of everything that we seen there. I just couldn't believe that radio was unbelievable. If I had $1,600 to burn, I would probably buy
and the
one.
Mixes and things that he was doing with it.
It was crazy. It was just like he was blowing my mind, the stuff he was doing with that radio. It was
if I had $1,600 to blow, I know what I'd be picking up.
I know what you'd be buying.
One of his demos too is like he had his battery and everything already hooked up.
Oh,
and had a switch. So it would completely kill your system until you wanted to enable it. So you had to have you go to the field or wherever, everything's ready to go.
Yeah.
You can leave your battery plugged to the system. That wasn't powering the system.
Right. You can
neat.
Yeah.
Switch off.
That was really cool. You're right. Yeah.
That's another thing I remember.
Servo testing, like you could set it up too, like with the gyros in the radio, you flick your powers all on, ready to go, but it wouldn't power the motor up, and then you could tilt your radio and test your servos that way. It was just nuts what the thing would do.
So with the gyro stuff, that actually, so think about that. Your next generation, you've got your hand on your throttle. Mm-hmm. Right, and then you're using the gyro meters in the controls, so you could like fly FPV just with your hands.
Very possible. Very possible. Especially with that radio.
Yes.
So many. It's the Wii generation coming out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trying to think what else. What else did we see that kind of caught our eye? Anything else up there? Have to look at your list to see what we wrote down.
Oh, those ladies.
Yeah. Mike found a few ladies up there that caught his eye.
I'm teasing.
No, just kidding. I think that's about it, really. The B-25s, the Jetty.
The B-25s, I remember they had both rudders. They
did have full working rudders on them. We thought that was pretty impressive too.
Just note.
The other thing that kind of caught my eye a little bit when we were talking about, I guess we'll say drones or the quadcopters and stuff, is there was actually quite a few, I'd say, Chinese manufacturers up there that had big booths for just like the toy junk stuff, Andre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, look, we can fly around here and we can hit flips and push buttons and, you know, they get the big crowds that, you know, aren't real sure what all that is, you know. So they had quite a few of those up there.
High Tech brought a lot of people off because they gave a plane away. I know at noon.
Yeah.
It was like a swarm. Yeah, there was people all over and they were giving out stuff free. But boy, they really brought the crowd in. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
With that scheme. Even Stud's chair was doing like a video of the crowd that brought in into that area or that section of the expo. So.
Yeah. Huh.
Hope that panned out for him though.
Yeah.
I didn't win the plane, unfortunately, but that's when I ran into the other Adam.
I
went and said hi to him.
From RC Logger?
Yes, yes.
I don't know what he's been up to.
He said he'll be at Flight Fest.
Oh, really?
So I'll see him there. I said, you did a pretty amazing flying job with your heli when we was there last year. So I was impressed with his abilities.
Right. Oh, I know who we ran into and talked to a little bit. Young guy named, was it Casey South? What was his name?
No, Chad South.
Chad South, that's right. He actually messaged me on, I think it was Instagram, maybe a few weeks ago. He sent a video, Andre, and he has a bicopter. Have you ever seen one of these?
Bicopter? So
he had a motor in the front and a motor in the back. That was it. So anyway, he had some videos, and I've seen it fly. And he was at Flight Fest last year, and he's been working on some different technology and just basically making it better because they're pretty well known not to fly very well. So he's been really working hard, and he actually brought his copter up, and he had it on display there in the center, just letting people check it out and looking at it. And it was funny. We were walking by, and I glanced over, and I told Adam, I go, Adam, I just was talking to this guy, you know, a couple weeks ago. That's his copter. I recognize it. And Adam looked and he goes, well, he lives right by me. That's Springfield, Ohio. He goes, you know, so soon he come up, he recognized us, and we chatted a little bit, and he'll be at Flight Fest, and he was telling us the inner workings of the bicopter and what he's been doing. And I'll tell you what, I was impressed, really impressed with what he's done and how he's been able to get that thing to fly.
Some of the hard to acquire parts and stuff too.
He has something special for Flight Fest that hopefully he can bring. I'm not even going to reveal it.
Yeah.
But if he does get it working and brings it, I'll be completely blown away.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is it is big. So he's working on that and trying to get parts and things and get that going at a larger scale. But nice guy, passionate about, you know, trying different things, which I like. That's what I like to see, you know, is people just trying different things and working on it and getting it to work. So we'll try to post. I got a couple, or you might have had a couple pictures of that too. We'll post those up in the link or on the website.
I can send them to you.
Yeah. So other than that, I think that's probably about it that I can think of. So,
and then we have some off-topic stuff.
Yeah, what did we have?
We talk about Casey's videos too. I know.
I got to talk about my buddy.
Eric. Yeah, Eric.
Okay, too. Andre, strap in because this is going to get.
I was laughing so hard listening to this. This guy cracks me up.
All right, I have a friend of mine I've known for years. I call him RC Eric. He lives up out of Cleveland, and the funny story behind him and another gentleman friend of mine who actually just passed away recently, he had a bad bout with diabetes. We were all good friends, but anyway, I talked to these guys for months on the RC car forums and got to know them real well and realized that they're from Cleveland, and we're like, hey, we need to all get together. There's 6 or 7 guys up here and get together and run our cars and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, great. So long story short, I met him. Fantastic guys. We formed a 5B RC club up there and ran our cars and blah, 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 and ran its course. I finally got out of that and went back into flying. Well, probably a couple, I'd say maybe 2-3 years ago, he contacted me and he says, Chris, I have been wanting to fly my entire life. And he said, I went to a field when I was a young kid, you know, went to a flying club, wanted to get in, learn how to fly. They weren't very friendly. I didn't like it. He said, I seen a plane crash and completely, of course, back then it was, when he was a kid, it was just all balsa stuff, hit the ground, completely disintegrate. And he said, it ruined me. Like, I seen that, and the way they were, I was kind of treated. He's like, it just ruined me. He's like, I always wanted to fly my whole life, but it just completely set him off. Yeah. So he's like, Chris, I want to fly. I just want to fly. And I'm like, well, come on down. Just show up. We'll pull some planes out. We'll put you on the buddy cord. We'll get you going. And he was just all excited. So we brought him down one day. We put him on the trainer cord. We tried some different things. He had a great time. I mean, just an absolute ball. He thought this was the best thing in the world. And I said, go buy a trainer. Come on down. We'll help. And this is way before the safe stuff or anything like that. So, and you have to understand Eric. He's married, older guy, but has no kids, has a good job, has money to spend. Trust me. So I get a phone call up, and he says, hey, I'm looking at these FMS warbirds, like 1,700 millimeter warbirds. And I'm like, Eric, no, you don't buy it. You can't fly it. Well, I've been practicing on the simulator, and I've been getting pretty good. And, you got to understand, he's like, I've been landing like 5 out of 10 times, so I think I can do that. I'm like, 5 out of 10 times isn't going to cut it when you're flying a giant warbird that flies like crap, So he's on and on. I want a warbird. So I get another phone call, and he goes, I got a warbird. I'm like, I'm trying to remember what was first. It was a P4, I think it was a 1,400 millimeter FMS P47. He goes, I bought the P47. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do with that? Well, I'm going to bring it down to your house.
When you told me that he brings it down in the box.
So that next weekend, he shows up, Andre, at my house with the P47 in the box. He goes, here you go. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, you can build it and you can fly it. I'm like, what? So we build this thing in my house. He's there with me, but he says, I'm just going to watch you build it.
And he loves it.
He just loves it. He says, this is the best thing in the world. I got a P47. So
can't fly it, but.
Yeah, can't fly it. We take him right down. I think we went to Aerotech that day. He bought a DX6i. We got some receivers and stuff, went back, got this airplane together, took it out that day. I made it, flew the daylights out of that thing. We got a couple batteries. I don't think he ever flew it one time. He just had the biggest grin on his face watching this P47 fly. So actually he says, well, I can't fly. We'll just leave it at your house. So he left it at my house. That next week he calls me and he goes, hey, I just bought another one. I said, what? He says, yeah, I just bought a 1,400 millimeter P51. I'm bringing it down too.
He's so enticed with what's on the box and stuff and has to have it.
So he comes back down. We do the P51, same thing. I go out and fly it. And the funny thing was, we pulled him out. Pat brought his little Park Zone P51 out, the little P51, and we put him on the buddy box. I mean, he had such a ball. And again, it was about 50-50. Like, he'd get going, he could fly a little bit here and there, do some circuits, and then 50% of the time he was getting ready to auger it into the dirt, or he lost orientation, or he didn't know what he was doing. And I'm like, Eric, see, there's no way you can take this home by yourself. For one, find a place probably to fly this thing or somewhere around Cleveland. And, so after that, let's see, he bought the 1,400 millimeter Trojan T28. Right after that, brought that down. I think I had a video of that too. So we flew that all around. So needless
you
me. Okay, yeah, okay, me. So
needless to fly this guy's planes.
So the P51 and the P47 stayed at my house. He took the T20 because the T28 was actually the easiest one to fly, and I think he was actually going to try to give a go at that. Mm-hmm. So he took that home.
Okay.
Fast forward probably a year later. Like, I'd talk to him just a little bit here and there. He's like, I think I'm going to sell everything and get out of it. I'm like, really? He's, yeah, I just don't have the time. I don't have the place. I don't have no way to fly, blah, blah, blah. So Wayne bought the T28. I had the P47. My other buddy, Pat Humbert, bought the P51. So he was out. Fast forward to this year, probably about 2 months ago, I get another phone call from him. He says, Chris, I got the bug again. I want to start flying. I said, okay, Eric. Just listen to me. So we went through we went through the whole spiel again. I said, Eric, they got fantastic technology out. It's called Safe. I said, we have this thing called the Delta Ray. I said, we have this plane called the Apprentice S. I was showing him videos. I'm talking to him. He's like, this is great. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna buy something. I'm probably gonna buy the Apprentice S. But again, he's on the Warbird kick. And I said, okay, buy the Apprentice S first. We'll get you going. I'll give you a few lessons. You should be good to go. So then he's seen the Corsair, right, with the safe system. He goes, well, this has a safe system. I'm going to buy this. I think I said, just wait. Buy the Apprentice first. So fast forward to yesterday. We're in the middle of the Toledo RC show. I get a text. It's Eric, RC Eric. Hey, are you guys, where are you at? Are you at the RC show? I'm like, yeah, we're here right now. Hey, do they got any 1700 millimeter FMS Warbirds up there? And I'm like, yeah, probably. But what do you want with that thing? Well, I just wanted to know if they had any. I was just curious. I go, did you get your trainer yet? Not yet. But
1700 millimeter Warbird. Oh.
So,
you stocked up on batteries yet, Chris?
Huh?
You stocked up on batteries for 1700 millimeter Warbirds yet?
I think I might have a couple. So we go through the whole show. We leave.
Oh my God.
We're driving down the highway, halfway away. Ding! I get a message. Here's Eric, RC Eric, at the show with a 1700 millimeter FMS P51. He goes, I just bought it.
Oh. He's like next to his car with
next
the
to
box.
his car with
It's
his
like
giant box. I'm like, Eric, you're killing me, man. What are you doing? You're just killing me.
And you said he was going to respond, how about that trainer?
Yeah.
Or something. You don't think he's going to get that message, though.
No. So, funny thing is he did call me later that evening when I got home. I said, Eric, what are you doing? Don't fly that thing. He goes, man, I'm telling you, I've been on the simulator. I'm doing really good. I said, dude, do not fly that thing.
You're making it even funny.
Oh.
I said, what happened to the trainer? What are you doing? He goes, Chris, I'm telling you, I'm going to get the trainer. I'm getting the Apprentice S. I'll probably go this week and get it, and then you can help me. But I'm telling you, he's going to try. I know it.
We've all been in that scenario.
He's going to be on that simulator going, I think I can do this. I think I can do this.
The simulators are like the ideal flying scenario.
Right.
You never have that in the environment.
And to put it in perspective, that is a $460 airplane.
Right, that he got at the show for $299.
Oh, okay.
Was it $299 or maybe it was $399? I don't remember.
Either way,
it's still a big expensive airplane.
Oh yeah.
So another funny story about him was
I was laughing
when he called me a while back and he wanted to get into this, back into the flying thing. Of course, he's a huge car guy. I mean, this guy has everything you can imagine, car-wise, truck-wise, or whatever. And of course, what we talked about, remember we were doing the new product stuff, and we were talking about Traxxas and how they brought out a quadcopter. And what did I say? All these car guys are going to see this quadcopter in there and go, I like Traxxas. That looks kind of interesting. Let's buy one. So what did Eric do? He bought the Traxxas, what is it, the Anton or Anon or whatever that thing's called that we talked about it. So he called me up and he goes, Chris, I bought this quadcopter. It's Traxxas. It looks like a truck, and I'm flying all around my yard. I'm cranking, and he's just learning. He doesn't know anything. And I said, Eric, do you know anything that's going on with the FAA and everything? He goes, what are you talking about? So I explained the whole FAA ordeal about registering and flying and everything, and he goes, I had no idea. And the funny thing is he lives probably about 3 miles away from Burke Lakefront Cleveland Airport. And here's this guy, has no clue what's going on. He's talking about how he's cranking this thing up and flying all around his house and his neighborhood. So I'm telling him, I go, dude, you better put it on the ground, get registered, and be very careful. I said, you might get yourself a fine for $27,500. And he's like, you're kidding me. I'm like, nope. So he had no idea, It's just funny.
It'd be horrible if they punish someone like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a true scenario.
Right.
They could. They could.
Yeah, and he really had no idea, no clue. I felt bad. I mean, I love Eric. He's a great guy. Do anything for you, but what else can I do with the guy?
He's like a little kid at the candy store.
Is.
And he's I gotta have that.
And that's, you know,
the warbirds. They're so enticing.
And I'll never forget, we first got that P-51, or was it the P-47 first? And I'm flying around. I mean, we just get the thing in the air. I'm trying to trim. I'm already nervous because this is one of the biggest foamies I've flown, you know, back at that time. You know, this giant.
You know, there's value and money.
Right. And it's his plane. I mean, I just get the thing in the air, not even trimmed out. I'm already a little shaky. He's like, all right, inverted. I want to, you know, because he's been down before. We were flying my plane. Well, I'm comfortable. I'm inverted, loops, rolls. I'm, you know, a foot off the ground. Here I got this brand new giant FMS Warbird. He's like, come on, man, roll it inverted. Let's low pass off the ground. You know, like, no,
not to that level with this maiden yet.
Oh my gosh! So that was my little story with Eric.
That was. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'll have to keep everybody updated and see if he actually buys a trainer, comes down, I get him some lessons, but he's just got to listen to me because I know it's going to happen. Same thing kind of happened before. He's going to get frustrated, or he's going to take one of those big warbirds and it's going to crash, and he's going to get frustrated. I just know it. So I don't know.
And it could be this one that he just bought.
I hope not. I really hope not. Yeah. So.
And then you also, I guess, off topic, wanted to discuss video. I got caught up on some videos. Maybe I'll talk since you talked your story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got caught up on some Rotor Riot videos I watched. I'll tell you, they did one with Dave Vindestol. And I didn't get to watch it till last night. And they're showing how they made this L-type track pattern with three
I seen that. Yep.
And so he did his pass, and I think it was like 1:30 with the quad that they gave him or whatever. And everybody, I noticed in the comments, a lot of people wanted to see his try do that obstacle and stuff.
Yeah.
But, that's something we're gonna have to see in the future, maybe. But anyways, I noticed at the end of the skit, Chad bends down to get the video.
Oh yes.
Pants ripped. And I'm laughing so hard at my computer monitor. I'm like, all I could think of was like a SpongeBob episode where his pants kept ripping and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was dying. And they didn't know that happened. You know, they're still going on with their story. Like, what's so funny? And the other guy, they got the smirking and stuff. I thought that was really funny. Just that little bit at the end, even.
Yeah.
But
well, even David says right off the bat that the tricopter is not a good race. Yeah, it's not really built for that.
But at that level, like his level, even with the quad, I think it would have did a similar routine possibly. And then I was watching the other Rotor Riot video, and I'll tell you that dam video where they're
that was I think one of the first videos they put out,
and it's been a while, but I was watching it again last night. I just, you know, it was pretty awesome for me to go back and review it again just to enjoy it. I just can't believe how they can decelerate so smoothly, like going down that hill like that and through that cattle chute type of. Oh my gosh! I just thought that was phenomenal watching that video.
The thing too, people may not understand. Like if you've tried FPV or flown a small quad FPV or fly around, and then see what those guys do, and do what they do, it is really, really, really impressive.
The ability to judge your descent rate and how close you are to the ground, but also to have that power on tap to be able to correct. I broke out the HMB last week, and it was just okay. I know I'm coming down, and then I know I have to give myself the lead time to get the motors the props to bite, so I can come back up. But I mean, like Dave said, the power on demand those things have is just phenomenal.
Accelerating like that, I just couldn't believe how smooth that was.
I know,
because that's a tricky thing, at least for me, like quads that. They got to be pretty finely tuned to do any type of deceleration.
And the crazy thing that kind of blows my mind too is like if you're flying along and you decelerate, you're just kind of going straight down. Where those guys it's
like a smooth fluid type movement. That's unbelievable to me.
What would be curious too, Andre? I don't know if you know. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say anything, but I'm going to say it anyway. David went home with a full, I think it was a 5-inch alien quad that he built while he was here. I mean, so I'm hoping he's got some time on. So next podcast, when we do the mini review, I'd like to talk to him a little bit and see if he's flown it and see get his opinion. Yeah. So it'd be interesting. All right, should we? Let's see. Want to talk a little of the P4 now? and a little bit of our other video that Andre and I have been addicted to here lately.
Go ahead.
Well, on the last podcast, we talked a little bit about the Phantom 4, and I was kind of like, yeah, whatever, it's just the Phantom 4. But now watching some more video, doing a little bit more research. Obviously, I know Flight Test has one here. Hopefully, we're going to get our hands on it and get a little review on it. Man, they've stepped up their game. You know, the build quality, how they've changed everything, and the gimbal and the videos I've seen, and it's impressive. It really is. For the money, you can't beat it. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that I am impressed with it, you know, the changes and what they've done. And again, hopefully we get our hands on it and we can really get a little bit more in depth on it, you know, compare the two right side by side. But the big thing, Andre, I don't know where to even start. Andre and I have kind of been a little addicted to a YouTuber called Casey Neistat.
And yes, slightly.
Actually, I've watched his videos long time ago. My kids found him. He's done quite a bit of stuff. He's a huge YouTuber, does a lot of goofy video stuff. My kids kind of like him, and they used to show me stuff. They're like, Dad, look at this. Do you think we could, you know, build something or do it? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Well, the funny thing was when the P4 came out, I was trying to find some videos, you know, or actually before it was even released, you know, once in a while you'll catch some pre-production models or people, you know, they send out for marketing, and Casey's name came up, and I was like, okay, well, I know this guy and I've seen some of his stuff, so I'll watch this video. I don't know how to take the guy sometimes, but here he is with a brand new Phantom 4. He's from New York City. He was over in South Africa, fired up the Phantom 4 for the first time, and just goes like out and about, round, no testing, no nothing, no count, nothing. And here he is. It's kind of comical, and I'm screaming at my screen going, no, you should have calibrated. What are you doing? And it goes out of range. They lose signal. He's freaking out. He takes it to the beach. He's flying around. He like hits return to home and then sets the controller down, lays on the ground, and they're looking around, looking for, I mean, just like stuff you shouldn't really be doing. You know what I mean? But I have to say, and again, I don't know if he's just kind of goofing around, he's playing it off, but some of the shots he's been getting lately, you know, with the Phantom 4, the stuff he's been doing is unbelievable. My big thing is, Andre, and you can jump in here anytime or whatever, is the guy's from New York City.
Mm-hmm.
He travels all around the country, and no matter where he goes, he's got that Phantom 4. He also is likes to ride skateboards, or especially this thing called a boosted board, which is an electric powered skateboard, basically. How many times we've seen him try to fly the Phantom 4, and the boosted board, if nobody knows, it has a hand controller. So it's kind of like remember the old racetracks, you know, when you do the slot car,
yeah.
It kind of looks like that. So you're squeezing a trigger, you know. So he has that plus the remote in his hand. He doesn't have enough hands to really fly it. And you see him out flying around trying to ride the boosted board, getting some shots. He's smashed it into a boat. I just watched one. Was it last week? He was actually flying in Central Park. They were in the pond in a rowboat. He was flying out of a rowboat, crashed it, landed into the water. He's been around San Francisco with the thing. I'm trying to think of all the places I've seen him fly already just with the Phantom 4. And I don't understand. The guy has what, over 2.5
billion subscribers.
He does a video log daily. It is kind of entertaining. I started watching. Now I just can't get enough of the guy. But how is he not on somebody's radar for what he's been doing with this Phantom? Not that his stuff is phenomenal. The shots he's been getting, in my opinion, has just been unbelievable. And some of the places he's been flying, the shots he's been getting, me personally, I'm like, there is no way I can fire up my Phantom and go do this. I would just, no way. But flying around New York City with his thing is blowing my mind, Andre.
My favorite one was the South Africa trip where they're climbing up the mountain.
Yes.
And, they go all the way up, and they're talking about how this is such a tranquil pilgrimage kind of thing. And tourists are all like, yeah, thanks. Cause he's like, yeah, we fired up the P4 and it's like, a jet blower, leaf blower just flying around. So it wasn't tranquil anymore. But the shots are fantastic, but it's like,
yeah. Anybody that's been around a Phantom, them things are really noisy. And even some of them shots he's been flying around these cities and has been low, like flying over just general, people, like whether they're at the beach or walking down by the beach or what.
I don't know how he's not getting any type of penalties or something thrown his way.
It's unbelievable. The New York City thing's really been blowing my mind. Like I can see maybe throwing one video here and there or whatever, but
it's like every day he's up with the thing and it's always with him. Yeah. And someone was saying that, people are commenting on the chat, but yeah, he's an artist. But yes, there are definitely some issues, and who knows where it's going to go. But for now, it's entertainment value.
Oh, it's definitely good entertainment. I love watching. But what gets me though, like they had the guy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and we talked about him last year. Was a guy in Florida that was flying around getting these beautiful shots and stuff of like beaches and piers and stuff in Florida, and just had his own YouTube channel. Was just having a good time. Didn't do it for a business, no nothing. And the FAA sent him a cease and desist letter because he made $2 off of YouTube, off of his YouTube channel, and the guy was just out having fun. You have this guy
who's entertaining 2.5
million, daily
people daily with a Phantom daily in New York City.
And he's not making any money.
He's making some serious money. I know for a fact he is.
Yeah, how is this happening?
Yes, how is he not on anybody's radar, or we haven't really heard anybody else really talking about it? And don't get me wrong, I don't want to get the guy. I'm not here.
No, we're not trying to get people in trouble. We're just astonished knowing the stories where people do get in trouble for a lot lesser things. That's all we're having a hard time understanding.
Right. So I don't know. I'm going to continue on, see what he does. The one Andre, I don't know if I might have sent you the link. Before he had the Phantom 4, he was cruising around with a Bebop.
Yes, and he lost sync. I watched it. It was torture.
He goes on a rooftop in New York City. It wanted to capture the sunset coming over New York City.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Our disc just stopped on GarageBand.
Uh-oh.
Slow, and we stopped. Let's see if it'll go. We might have just lost some content. Stop. Let's see if it'll restart recording again. Okay, it's caught back up. Might have lost a little bit, so we'll backtrack here a little bit. So anyway, we were talking about Casey Neistat. Before he had the Phantom 4, he had a Bebop drone, and he got on a rooftop in New York City. I think it was the top of his apartment. And he was going to go capture this great sunset with this thing. And, of course, everybody knows that runs off of Wi-Fi. Now, I can't even imagine in New York City, thousands, actually probably millions of people, but thousands of people right around there with all this Wi-Fi and all this interference going on. Takes off of this Bebop on this rooftop. Gets out, was capturing some shots, and lost signal. Like, I don't know if it linked up to something else.
Yeah, who knows?
Here was this Bebop drone, what, Andre, probably, I think he was 14 floors up.
Yeah.
The thing was 10 feet out. Like, he could almost reach out and touch it, and it just sat there.
I was impressed with the hover. I was really impressed with the hover. It hung around for a good while.
He couldn't do anything. He just kept trying to get it to link back up. He's looking at his phone. He finally, I think he set his phone down. He's just looking at the camera going, here I am just waiting. Let's see. We're 15 minutes in. We are still hovering 10 feet off the roof. There's nothing I can do. I'm waiting for the battery to die.
Oh, my God.
So, and again, he lucked out, got very lucky. The battery goes low. The thing goes into safe mode, and it gently goes down in between, misses everything in between the buildings, and lands right down on the ground.
You have
in some dark alley that he said, you know what? My life is worth more than the Bebop at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I got to watch some of that.
You just look up Casey. I mean, you'll watch a few and you go like, I got to watch. Oh, I got to watch it. I got to watch it. And, you know. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Hey, switch the camera.
Oh, sorry. I got talking, forgot to switch.
I think people have been looking at me for like the last 20 minutes.
Oh, that could be. That's very possible. Sorry.
That's okay.
I need a producer. If I get somebody down here and run some cameras while I talk and make sure that everything's recorded and
but on the P3, DJI dropped the price radically, and I've been really studying it. It was a good excuse for me to study up. One of my friends, Eric, who runs his Maker Lab. I'm going to get I'll link in the YouTube channel and content into the story. But he picked up a standard from Great Hobbies, and it was on a fantastic price. And that forced me to do a lot of looking and getting details, the difference between the models. I don't think I'm quite ready to drop in for an the Pro, simply for the cost. But the Advanced seemed just right for me. It's got the 1080 camera, which is fine for my YouTube stuff, but it's got the rather than the Wi-Fi style link for the video, it uses a light bridge. So basically, it's very much like your Pro.
Yep.
A slightly different camera, or the 1080 camera. But the difference between the standard and the Advanced is that the remote is better. And the camera, I can actually do filters on the camera. So there's some slight nuances. I didn't realize you can actually you can get a Pro as well without the light bridge, but I don't see why you would do that.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't.
So for me, the delta was, okay, 4K camera would be awesome, but I can live with 1080 if I was to pick one up. So we'll see. I'm really interested, and see what happens eventually.
And I believe too, doesn't the Advanced does 2.7K or something?
Yeah, it's a 2K camera. Yeah, so it's pretty decent. So I mean, if I was ever to pick one up, it probably would be the Advanced. Eric Moreau is going to kill me for saying that, because he's like, no, Pro. You want the 4K? But I'm like, it's my budget, right?
Yeah.
So I am going to keep my eye out for used ones, and I actually had a good conversation with Gary from Great Hobbies. He says, yeah, we'll keep you in mind and let you know if we see stuff, because. The Canadian suppliers have got them at an equally good price, or I'll look when I'm down in the US, but we'll see. I've got a bunch of projects in mind that I want to do, and this kind of wasn't on my radar, but all of a sudden I'm like, well, this is now affordable. I mean, I would pick up a standard, but I'm just sitting there going, I think I would regret it. I think that was my problem, especially two things like it works off your mobile device, but it's a Wi-Fi link where, with the Advanced and the Pro, I can sit there and, connect into my tablet through a USB. So you're getting a little bit of secure connection and stuff like this. So we'll see what happens.
So I'm just kind of curious. Of course, I'm always pushing you, sometimes half joking, of course, but I'm just like, what made you, because I know we've talked about it before, I was trying to like, oh, Andre, you got to get, this is great, blah, blah, blah. So what made you what tipped the hat over to, really seriously looking into the Phantoms?
Well, I mean,
don't bring that thing down. Go away.
Oh, it's the monster. I do like the idea of getting some decent aerial photography, and once the Phantom 3s kind of went into a more reasonable price, then it's this old thing. It is more rational, and I looked at this project that I built up, and I can't compete. None of us can compete. Even Flight Test said that. Remember the big project they tried to, can you compete against the Phantom? And for the level of technology that you're getting, even for on the standard, even for, what is it, 700 Canadian now? It's crazy. So, which just means there's just going to be more flooding. But my other issue too is, at what point, like you, Chris, we're almost like a single flying team, because none of us can get together and actually shoot content together, right? So what am I going to do? Put the thing in the air and have two remotes on me? I suppose I could train James to fly the thing for me, just push the land button, and go from there. So who knows, man? Who knows what the future is going to bring? I'm just having fun with it. I know I've got some ideas of what I want to accomplish this year, so we'll see, man.
Yeah, and for sure, when you get down here in May, I'm just going to hand you the Phantom 3 remote and say,
oh, because that'll just do me in. Thanks.
Have fun. We'll pass the transmitter around, and
I know when Chad first let me fly his, I'm like, oh, how effortless.
I know.
For the quality.
It spoils you. Oh, does that thing spoil you? Wow.
Well, it's just, I always look at some way as how I'm going to advance myself in the hobby and just, and take in a different angle and a different approach. And it's just another level where I can excel or just become an expert in doing something. It's just, and it's fun. I mean, I look at some of the stuff that you shot when you did your little lake shots and with the mist and everything. And I'm just like, oh, so it's,
Right.
we're just big kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
The mist and everything. And I'm just like, oh, that was weird. It's,
Right.
we're just big kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That isn't what I wanted to do. Hang on.
The mist and everything. And I'm just like,
playing us back.
Hang on. Sorry.
that was
Nope.
weird.
Nope.
It's,
Let me turn down the volume.
We're just
Sorry.
big kids.
Yeah.
We're in a loop.
I just wanted to pull up some comments. I think we're just about done.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot of stuff. We've been in an hour and 36 minutes. But it's just going through the chat here, seeing if anybody had any questions or anything we want to talk about or answer before we get off here.
No, there was just I was keeping track as we were going.
Standard 2.7K camera was on sale on eBay for $399 a while back. Just a small batch. Wow, that's crazy.
I think I would even look at a used one or even a demo one at this point.
Just reading some of the comments. No one is really taking a stand on using drones for YouTube money, especially Casey's level. Does it need a 333 exemption? I actually think it does. I don't know how he's getting away with what he's getting away with. People on Reddit were very adamant about reporting him to the FAA. Well, there's some interesting comments here. Nice Dad is really terrible for the hobby. Seemed like a total douche. You know what? I almost think that he doesn't really realize what he's doing, or I think as big as he is, if he realized that the stuff he was doing was kind of illegal, I don't think he'd be doing it personally, because he could get in a lot of trouble, and I don't think he just realizes it. Anything else you see on the comments? That's probably about it.
No, I was filtering through and we were discussing a few things as we were going.
We lose Andre.
all
I
good.
turn this volume back up.
Hello? I was filtering.
Oh, sorry.
Ah.
Let me close this out here.
I was filtering.
Oh, sorry.
Turn this off.
Dang thing. Turn the sound off. Close this out here.
You loop me.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know
That's
what I'm doing. I'm so computer alert. All right, we're back. Anyway, so I think that's about it. If we don't have any comments, we're going to get out of here. That was fun. It's good. It's good. We haven't done this in so long. It's just good to get back in and just chat a little bit. So real quick, let's see. We got coming up. We have the tricopter, hopefully mini review next podcast. Still been talking to Dave. We just haven't got things with me, basically, not so much Dave, but I know, Andre, you talked just a little bit about Dave and comparing cameras and everything. I want to get Dave in here. He's got all the cameras and he loves to compare everything. I think it'd be fun to get him in here, sit him down, lay the cameras out on the table and talk about each one, what's good, what's not, what he likes, compare, price different. Yeah. And I think it's really good, especially, again, there's so many different GoPro knockoffs out there. So if you're not looking for super great GoPro Hero 4, quality, and you can spend $50-$60 on a knockoff camera and get what you want to get, and it's very comparable, why not?
Why not save the money?
Yeah, and use it for other things. So hopefully we're going to do that soon. Trying to think what else. We got a couple other reviews coming in. Hopefully we get some flying in with in between the baseball stuff. Yeah, baseball's starting up, but we're going to try to work around that a little bit, and so it is what it is. All right, man, we're going to get out of here. I'm winding down a little bit now. I was raring to go now.
I had a lot to
we had a super long day yesterday. Like, I come home, my wife says, I want to go to Menards. I'm like, no. We went to Menards. I got home at like 9 o'clock last night. I was just tired and got up early this morning.
Well, I was an idiot. I did elliptical before we went to the Toledo show.
Right, you're right. So did you do it this morning? No workout for Mike this morning. Huh?
Maybe this evening, but my legs were so sore. I'm like, oh my gosh, we were on our feet a lot.
So anyway, we got our stuff to work. I don't know why it didn't work last time. This time it plugged in and everything worked great. So
the only thing we didn't get working.
Yeah, we couldn't find a remote. Hey, flight test guys, if you're listening or watching, whatever, we can't find the remote to the TV. Where did it go? Who took it home?
Somebody put it in the pocket? We don't know.
So I don't know what happened to that. Oh well, whatever. But thanks for joining us. Hopefully we can keep this up and keep this going. We had fun. Maybe we'll do a question and answer sometime soon, with the chat. I'd like to do that too.
Yes.
Thank you, Andre, for hanging out with us.
No problem.
Enjoy your day, and it's not too nasty up there.
Yeah,
I think last time I checked, we were like -12 with like 35-kilometer-hour gusts. So I'm not flying today. I'll probably work on a few projects. I got a few flight test birds to build and do some stuff with my family because I was, ignoring them having fun with RC stuff yesterday.
Right. So
maybe I'll finish off the build video of that big thing behind us. So,
all right,
very
sounds good. All right, thank you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys soon.
And viewing.
Bye.